U.S. forces attacked at Iraq Air Base, respond in self-defense.
Here's a summary of the article.
Washington, Baghdad, November 21. The United States carried out 2 series of strikes in Iraq against Iranian-backed militants, U.S. officials said on Tuesday, in the first publicly reported U.S. responses in Iraq to dozens of recent attacks against troops in the region. The strikes were in direct response to the attacks against U.S. and coalition forces by Iran and Iran-backed groups, the statement said. About 24 hours earlier, U.S. forces were attacked at an airbase west of Baghdad and a U.S. military AC-130 aircraft responded in self-defense, killing a number of Iranian-backed militants, U.S. officials said. The United States had so far limited its response to the 66 attacks against its forces in Iraq and neighboring Syria, claimed by Iran-aligned Iraqi militia groups, to 3 separate sets of strikes in Syria. Advertisement scroll to continue the attacks began on October 17 and have been linked by Iraqi militia groups to U.S. support for Israel in its bombardment of Gaza following attacks by Palestinian militant group Hamas on Israel. The attacks against U.S. targets have ended a year-long unilateral truce that Iraqi factions, some formed in the aftermath of the 2003 U.S. invasion to fight U.S. troops and others in 2014 to fight Islamic State, declared with Washington. Advertisement scroll to continue. Social media accounts linked to Iran-aligned Iraqi militias published a statement in the name of the Islamic Resistance in Iraq, mourning a member who they said had been killed in battle against U.S. forces on Tuesday, without elaborating.
This post received a score of 7,000, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
I've called for fire from an AC-130 before. It's pretty surreal. You just name a target and moments later it magically explodes. You never see or hear the plane. It made me wonder how the opposition has the balls to attack us. You've got rifles and RPGs. We're magically explode shit over here. What are you thinking?
What's wild to me is that AC-130s are basically still living in the age of sail unloading broadsides.
I honestly wish I could have been a fly on the wall that first time someone said, but what if we stuck an artillery piece out of the SIDR of a cargo plane and flew it in a circle?
A collective boner happened at that meeting.
If your military-industrial complex erection lasts more than 4 hours, consult the Geneva Convention.
There's no clause in the Geneva Convention that says, unfair application of airpower.
The US hasn't even signed on to the complete Geneva Convention anyways.
AC-130 aircraft. Mean machines. Very mean.
Found Trump's alt account.
Impossible. Every word is spelled correctly.
AC-120s are mean machines. I walked into the hangar and said, wow, that's a mean machine. Meanest machine.
We heard them. I said, wow, they're so scared. Not me though, I wouldn't have been scared.
Big, strong men with tears in their eyes came up to me and said, sir, you've got the meanest machines.
Killed by something they didn't even know was above them that turned them into red mist. Imagine thinking that this would go well for them.
It did. These dudes wanna die and be martyrs. It's hard to wrap your head around, but in order to see the world through their eyes you have to remember that they aren't motivated by the avoidance of death like pretty much everyone else.
I'm sure a good grip of them are still very afraid of death, but are more afraid of the repercussions of going against their own kind.
Nah, if it's part of your entire upbringing for your whole life that there is an eternal paradise waiting for you because Allah is your savior, it's not seen as a bad thing. Religion is the fucking worst.
I felt the same way on my Mormon mission. I was told if I died during my mission that it would be an automatic ticket to heaven. So while I wasn't suicidal, I did so much stupid shit knowing that.
And that is why suicide is a sin in most religions.
So that they can keep the brainless soldiers.
When you bring a knife to a freaking bazooka launching fire flame throwing machine gun fight.
I read an article recently where there is talk of removing the 105mm cannon because the mission has changed. We did some Hellfire missile testing at the White Sands in New Mexico back in December 2018. There was about 7 or so Hellfire missiles outfitted on the outboard wings of the AC-130. It can also carry Griffin missiles, small-diameter bombs, and talks of a high-powered laser being added to the front where the chin-strap MX-20 sits.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.